Welcome, friends, to week 5 of the Nomad Intensive. We're doing well. So far, we've looked at reimagining the call to mission and discipleship here in Norfolk. We've looked at the crisis of discipleship here in the West. We've looked at church history, churchly mission, and planting new communities. This week, we're going to look at the marks of a movement, rediscovering this idea of church as a movement. I love reading the book of Acts. I love the picture that we get of the first church community, the early church, in Acts chapter 2. And we want to discover, is that possible? Is that type of community realistic for today? And we're going to explore how God has placed within the DNA of the church something explosive. The early church was sure messy, but they did multiply. Alan Hirsch, the theologian, he talks about the greatest kind of issue facing the church in the West is going to be whether or not we can rediscover church as movement. It's this idea that God has placed within the church the DNA, the capacity for multiplication. We see this best pictured in the analogy of a seed. You see, an apple seed holds within it the DNA for multiplication. Yes, an apple seed can create another apple, but an apple seed can also create an apple tree that could produce lots of apples. Given it enough time, an apple seed could create a whole apple orchard. And Jesus alludes to this. He says that fruit is multiplied in the kingdom of God in ways that we don't quite understand. To some, a little bit is given, but lots is produced. Something that we're passionate about here at Nomad is seeing the potential, the gifting, the calling that we believe God has placed by His Spirit in every individual to see it released to impact our local communities. What would a bit more of heaven look like on earth? What would it look like to rediscover church as movement under the lordship of Jesus here in Norfolk? You see, we read stories about it in other countries, of the church multiplying, of disciples multiplying. It would look like everyone playing their role. Everyone gets to play. It would look like disciples making more disciples. It would look like every church being a church planting church. It would look like every youth group being a youth group planting youth group. You see, when we look at the church, rather than seeing a congregation, we see so many seeds of potential that God could use to grow, to refresh, to re-inspire our local communities.